Hi, I'm Dr. Charlene Walters, author, business and branding mentor, trainer, as well as your host for Launch, a business talk show for anyone who wants to launch their business, their career, or their life. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Launch. I'm your host, Charlene Walters, and today I have one of my network co-hosts, Brian Freed, who's been on before. He's a repeat guest. He's a great friend, and we do a lot of collaborations together, so I'm thrilled to have you back today, Brian. Welcome.
Thank you, Charlene. I appreciate that, and always looking to connect up with you and just talk about what's happening in the world, and also to be able to help people and their ideas keep moving forward.
Yes, definitely. We both are kind of in the same space, and we work with a lot of entrepreneurs and inventors. Can you tell the audience again just a little bit about yourself so that they can become familiar if they haven't caught your last episode?
Sure. Well, I'm an inventor, entrepreneur. So as an inventor, I have 15 issued patents. I've licensed products, so I earn royalties from some, and I have in the past. And also, I manufacture products locally and overseas. And as I had some levels of success, I was on QVC for 3 years as an on-air guest. People started to ask me for help. So for the last 18 years, I've been the inventor coach. So when somebody has an idea, I help them to figure out if they should work on it or not. And if they should, I learn a little bit about them and their product and figure out what the steps need to be able to help them to get to where they want to go so they can make money with their idea. So as I've been an inventor coach, consultant, I've also launched the National Inventor Club. So I've been running inventors clubs for over 16 years. I have a show called Got Invention Show. I have an e-learning course, which is a 3-hour kind of DIY. If you're an inventor or you have an idea what to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And I also just recently launched an app called Inventor Smart Community. So it's our very own social media for inventors, innovators, entrepreneurs out there. So other stuff,
Amazing.
but
It is a lot of stuff, and I'm always impressed by, how consistent you are and how hard you work and how much you put into it. And even just in helping people, all that good energy, you're putting out into the world is definitely going to come back to you. So kudos for you. So you've obviously helped a ton of people. Of those people, what are some really cool or innovative inventions or products that you've come up with or you're really proud of?
I could say that whether it's my own inventions or other inventors' products that I come across, I think one of the kind of ways to look at which ones could be really successful. Now, some people have ideas that are niche. So
Yes.
let's say if it's somebody that's in construction and they have a tool that's specifically for their kind of expertise,
Right.
or if it's something like, let's say, like what I've come up with in the past is like kitchen gadgets. So if it's a kitchen gadget, how many people have a kitchen? So I kind of evaluate people's window of opportunity, figure out what the competition is within or things that are similar, and then figure out, is it a big enough difference to be able to make some money with it? And that's what I love to do. It's like you really pick on it for a little while and see what's out there. And a lot of times, Charlene, people will come to me and they have this idea and it's a very emotional, because when people are coming up with something, it's almost like you want it to change your life. You want to be the next gazillionaire inventor,
Yes.
right? But you also have to kind of take away the emotional side of it and put your business cap on, because now you're going to be investing time, money, energy, effort, and you want to know that what you're putting in is some kind of return to get out. So I kind of put things into perspective for people and help them to make better decisions along the way.
Very important to do because I find that too in my work. A lot of people have a great idea, they think about a business, but then they don't necessarily think about, okay, you think it's a good idea, but is there a real need for this? Are people willing to pay money for this? Is it a problem that multiple people are experiencing, or is it just really specific to you? So I'm sure you go through a lot with that. What do you recommend for people in terms of like finding out if their invention, their idea is something that can be really successful or can be marketable anyways.
Well, the first thing is to write it down, capture the idea. How many times do you come up with an idea? It doesn't have to be an invention idea, but just something that you're supposed to be doing or you needed to remember and you get distracted, poof, it's gone.
Yes.
Right? So these days, it's easy enough to write it down, to text yourself, to leave yourself a voice message, to call
Yeah.
somebody and tell them to write it down for you, whatever it is, just to capture the idea and just to kind of go through and figure out, is this something that is your idea? Can you call this your own? So when I capture my idea, I go online and I could put in some descriptive words of what my idea could be.
Yes.
And I take my time. And a lot of times, Charlene, people will come up with an idea and they'll go through one page of Google and they'll go down the aisle at Walmart and they'll say, my idea is not out there. Everybody in the world is going to want this idea and I'm going to be a gazillionaire again. So it's
Yeah.
really important for you to kind of do your due diligence and think about your idea where it's going to be in, let's say, a retail store. So if I'm going into a retail store, where is my idea? Where should it be?
Right.
Should it be in a big box retail? Should it be in a specialty store? What aisle should it be in? Let me look and see what's out there and figure out if mine is enough of a difference. I'll also go online. I'll do some searches. I can even go on Google Patents and put in a descriptive kind of term and see what comes up. But as I gather my information, then what I want to do is I mean, this is just my opinion, but I think it's really important because again, I'm looking at each idea as a business
Yeah.
and I want to capture what I have and then I'm going to give it to a patent attorney or agent to get deeper into the patent files and compare what I came up with to what's already existing and
Yes.
see if it is something that I can call my own. Once I understand where I'm at, then I know that I can figure out, am I going to be infringing on this idea, this
Yes.
potential product? Is it something that's in the public domain? Is it over 20 years for a utility patent or 15 years for a design patent? And it's public domain. So you and I, Charlene, we're in two different places, but we can both make the same thing.
Yes.
Or am I going to be able to get some patent protection? This way I have some options. Can I be the only player in the industry with something like this? Can I license it to earn royalties? So from there, I kind of figure out what to do, what not to do. Am I going to infringe? Should I move forward? Is there a million of these out there? And that's what I do with people all day long.
It's sort of a chicken and egg thing, right? Because you don't want to get too far forward with your plans for it, right? Before you realize, oh, somebody else has a very similar patent, or I can't even do this, or it's not unique enough. But at the same time, you also have it kind of need to have it formulated so that you can do a proper search. So it's sort of a little bit murky in the beginning, I guess you would say. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And look, it doesn't have to be, I'm talking product here, but it can also be a business. People come to me with business ideas and app ideas, and you want to take your time. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the lesson here is to do your research and take your time. It's almost like a business plan. You want to get in and figure out, is this something that I'm going to put my time and my money and my energy and my effort, is this something that's going to make me money? What does the competition look like? How
Right.
many of these are out there? How much of a difference is mine compared to what's existing? And then figure out, okay, now what do I do? And that's what I kind of go through with people to help them to figure out what steps they need. Is it a cut and sew item? Is it made out of metal? Is it plastic? Is it software that we need a software engineer? Is it something that you want to make an app, but you don't have to necessarily start off with an app? Maybe you want to make a website to kind of prove the value of it and to see what kind of response you get. So these are the things that I love to do is to help people to figure out what to do, what not to do. And look, I don't know everything, but based on my experience of going through this with so many people and interviewing very good experts in the industry. It kind of gives me a leverage kind of way to look at things and figure out what the best shot is, and hopefully it works.
Definitely, and it's a tricky thing. I shared with you earlier that I'm thinking about launching an AI product, and we hear a lot of different conflicting things. You know, it's an AI race for patents right now, and big companies are gobbling them up, and then at the other time, you still have to slow down. So it can be tricky to kind of get it all just right. I think something I would ask you is what steps would you suggest for inventors to take when they're talking? They have to talk to other people about their idea, right, to get it off the ground. How can they protect themselves first before they get that patent? What would you suggest?
You know, it's interesting, Charlene, because you said inventors. So many people that I talk to, I'm like, "Congrats, you know, you're an inventor." They're like, "No, I'm not." You came up with an idea. Well, when do you call yourself an inventor? And that's something that's kind of interesting to think about. But yeah, when you're coming up with an idea, you are an inventor. You can classify yourself as that. And then you want to be able to talk about your idea to people.
Right.
So, do you do your own research? Well, you know, some people start off and they're limited on funds. Some people are that gazillionaire that we talked about. And what I've done is kind of position where, and you have also, Charlene, you have where people come to you for help, but you also have your book. So I have books that I've authored. I have 3 books. My latest one is How to Make Money with Your Invention Idea. It's a quick
Yes.
startup guide. So you don't have to talk to anybody right away. We have these resources available, like our books. But then people want to talk to me, or they might want to talk
Yes.
to an engineer or a prototyper. So we ask for a non-disclosure agreement. And what that means, Charlene, is if you had that idea that you were talking about with AI and you wanted to talk to me, and you're not protected yet, you didn't file a patent or anything. So we would exchange a non-disclosure agreement. And what that means is that gives me and puts me on notice that I'm not going to talk about your idea to anybody without your permission.
Right.
So I offer that to people. And there's so many times, even today, somebody emailed me a picture of their idea. And I said, listen, fine with me. Don't worry about me. I'm not going to share your idea to anybody. But you should ask people for a non disclosure agreement before you just
Right.
disclose your idea.
Yes.
So I think it's really important to protect yourself. If you're asking an attorney for a non-disclosure agreement, they're binded by law, with or without one,
Yeah.
to not disclose it, obviously, for client
Right.
attorney privilege. But for somebody that's just out there kind of offering a service, it's good to have.
Yeah.
And this way, as you're going through things, you save your non-disclosure agreements. And if somebody asks you, who have you disclosed this idea to, at least you have some record of who it is that you did.
Exactly, exactly. And I know you've written all about this in your book about the patent process, but maybe give viewers just a quick overview of sort of what that's like, what they can expect, maybe what the costs are involved with that, and how long it takes, really.
Sure. Well, the cost kind of can range depending on who you speak to,
Okay.
and how much work they do. But let's say like a patent search. So we came up with this idea. I mentioned to do some searching online to see what you can find and what the differences are for yourself. Like realistically, if you hit a brick wall and you see pretty much the same thing, maybe you should just move on to the next idea. And that is
Right.
one of the hardest things, Charlene, is
To
there's
let
so many
go.
people that come to me, right? And
Yes.
I'm like, they're like, yeah, I've been working on this and it's been years. And I'm like, boop, 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 boop. Is that it? Ah, that hurts.
It
It
does.
hurts. But it's good to know, right? Instead of spending all
Getting
that
further
money
in,
and
yeah.
time and going in a big circle, ending up where you are right now, right? I actually worked with a professional athlete a couple days ago
Okay.
in the beginning of the week, and all very into his baby product, awesome. And we ended up finding things that are similar. And we just did a quick search in Google Patents, and there were similar things. And It was like, yeah, but I'm like, is it the same? He's like, yeah. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right. So it's important. So if you were going to do a patent search professionally, you're talking anywhere between $500 and $1,200, and they're going to compare what you have to what's out there and then give you a patentability opinion. That's really
Right.
good because then they're going to tell you, based on this, if you did this, you might have a shot. But boy, this looks really close. Maybe you don't. So they're going to
Right.
help you to figure out those things. And then you're going to want to build a prototype, right? Maybe you're going to need CAD files done. Maybe you're going to need some schematics done if you're doing some programming. Maybe you're going to need some specs to do a cut and sew, which is nice and easy, right? You could go to your local seamstress and they can cut up and put things together. So there's a lot of variables of what the idea is compared to what the costs are. But
Yes.
what's interesting, Charlene, even now, it doesn't matter what stage you're at or where you are in life, you can find things that already exist, rip them up, and make your own prototype for the most part. It might not
Yeah.
be the prettiest, but you can experiment with limited funds, or if you have a gazillion dollars to
Right.
make what you see it as, and then just sit on it for a little bit and say, is this something just for me? Is this something that could be out there for other people to use? What's the response? Am I making something that is interesting? It's cool, but now I have all these parts and all these things to clean. And now it's making me do 5 more steps than the simple one.
Right.
I know it's different, but now you're making it more complicated for yourself and the consumer. And that happens a lot too. So just kind of going through. So you have to figure out with prototyping, then you want to go back and protect it. So maybe you want to file a provisional patent application. And what that
Right.
does is that gives you the right for 1 year to say that you're patent pending while you're exploring the market before you turn into the non-provisional, which is you get it and then it's 20 years from the time that you originally filed the provisional. Or is it a design patent? Is it ornamental? And that's something that could be protected. It's not as strong as having claims in your non-provisional utility patent, but it
Right.
can protect you too for 15 years.
Which is
So if you're going to file a patent, a non-provisional uh, utility patent could end up costing anywhere from 2,500 to 10 grand, depending on how much detail and what you're trying to protect. If you're doing a design patent, which is ornamental, it's more of like drawings,
right.
not really getting too heavy into the way that it works, but just how it looks. So that could be an average of 2 to 3,000.
Right.
So here we are, like during the development stage of using an engineer, if it's something that you can really kind of put together and then be able to show, you might not necessarily need a heavy prototype. So during the development stage, it could be as simple as buying things off the shelf and concocting them, or to make something where you do need an engineer. And if it's electrical engineer, industrial, mechanical, is it a cut and sew thing? So really that can range anywhere from $50 to thousands, right?
Yes.
I'm working with
Right.
somebody that needs software that it's very detailed and sensors, and it can add up.
Yeah,
So,
definitely can.
right. And then after the protection of the patents, then you have to figure out how you're going to get it out there and what direction are you going to take. Are you going to manufacture it, where you're going to find a factory and do tooling possibly and production, or is it something that you may want to license and a company that's in the business, you kind of show them what you have, your intellectual property, and they can rent the rights to it. They would manufacture it, they would distribute it, and you can earn a royalty from it. So there's kind of that fork in the road there then, but hopefully we planned in the beginning to see what direction we take.
Definitely. And people are coming up with new ideas all the time. Do you think we'll ever hit a point where there's nothing left to invent and we've already thought about it all?
Oh, that would be painful because our creativity, we have to just keep it going. but look, most of the time things are being invented that are kind of off something that already has been invented. And you want to make your life easier. You want to make it so it's a new way to do things
Yes.
and to experience things. So I would say that I don't think it'll ever end because that's the way the world evolves, is by things that are being done differently and just kind of getting out of people's comfort zone to take a chance. And that's what makes people different out there and look at things a little bit differently, which sometimes could be a good thing. About, like, for me, when I see something, I'm like, all right, that's okay. I'll let that one go. Or I'm like, no, you're not doing it right. It should be done like this. And that
Yeah.
it's like, it's cool, but sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I need to give my brain a break. But that's what I do for people all day long now too, is like, okay, you came up with this, let's brainstorm it a little bit more. Could it be done like this, that, and the other thing? So
That's good. And
fun.
I'm sure you get better with that over time. And I bet you're seeing ideas everywhere, all the time, every day.
Absolutely.
Probably overwhelming for you at times, right?
It's fun. It's fun because it's always like a new adventure. And when you learn about the person and you learn about the idea, and then you see how much of a difference it is, that it could be something that could be commercialized, or it could be a business that you want to venture into. These are the things that we got to figure out to make a good decision. And if it's something that maybe you shouldn't, then, like I said to the other gentleman the other day, the professional sports person, I said, the money that we just spoke about that you were going to kind of dish into this, put it into your kid's college fund, right? Or save it for your next idea. I'm
For
serious.
the
It's
next one,
important.
right?
Yeah. So they spent a little bit with me, and that's fine. At least I help them not to spend any more. So that's what I love, Charlene, is trying to find people in the beginning so I can help them and guide them through what to do and what not to do. And again, it's I don't have the exact answer, but I put things into perspective based on fact. And maybe it's sometimes not 100% fact, but we have to figure it out. And ultimately, the person who came up with the idea has to make that decision. But I'm not, I don't say everything's great and wonderful all the time. I beat it up because
Yes.
I want
You
you to
have to.
know that what you're in for.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you've done so many wonderful things. You've got the groups, you've got the consulting, you've got your books, you've got now the app. What is next for you? What are your big goals that you have next on the horizon?
Charlene, I'll have to ask you to sign an NDA. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Not yet, I guess. Too soon. Okay, I feel
I
the
do.
same.
I do. I have some really cool products that once in a while I get some time for myself to work on. So I'm
Yes.
really excited about two inventions that I'm going to launch.
Oh, great.
I also have another platform for inventors and innovators and entrepreneurs that is coming out in a couple months.
Very
And
good.
I'm excited about that. Somebody's talking to me about my next book. I'm not sure I want to do it this moment because there's some other things that I want to do first. But yeah, I think it's all about, for us, Charlene, and you also, you're like this because I've gotten a chance to know you for years already. We want to put that information out there for people. So
Right.
whether they choose us or they don't, or they read our books or they don't, but if they do read it, or they talk to us, that we can give them another option of a direction that they can choose for themselves. And we
Yes.
know that we're giving them great information based on our experiences, our knowledge and wisdom of what we've been doing, and kind of our direction of things that we've gone through to help them to decide what to do. Your people are coming to you with new entrepreneurial ventures, and sometimes you know kind of about it, and sometimes you don't. They're going into unknown territory. But for me, and for you, probably, but for me, when somebody shows me something or goes over it with me and I learn a little bit about the person, I really like, it's almost like an intuitive thing that I go all the way. to where it's going to be, and then
Right.
I come back to where they are, and then I go through the steps to get them there. But I feel like intuitive is a really strong word for me lately. I just see things
Yes.
and put things into perspective for people. That's what they hire me to do.
And that's great. Yes, I agree. I really lean into my intuition and what I think is worth the time, the energy, or where people can go. And I think we both are similar in that we really want to see people succeed. I know sometimes people are a little bit more far removed, but we're really kind of rooting for the people on the other end of those businesses, those products, etc. So I want you to tell everyone where they can find out more about you, get information from you, get your books, join in on the fun.
Great. brianfried.com. And I always say this, but a lot of times people spell my first name Brain for some reason. Then I'm brain fried. But it's Brian Fried, so BrianFried.com. And my app is inventorsmartcommunity.app. You can find it on Google Play or Apple App Store as Inventor Smart Community. Through there, you could be a part of National Inventor Club. I also have Got Invention Show. My books are on Amazon. If you put in the author Brian Fried, they come up. My latest one I'm really proud of, e-learning course. Most of these things are on my websites, inventorsmart.com, and my other website, brianfried.com. So I'm pretty easy to get in touch with, and I'd love to just keep people active with what I'm putting out there so people can make those better decisions. And you know what's interesting, Charlene? Like most of the people that I talk to, and you probably do, it's like they have a career, they're doing something, and they're
Right,
coming up with something kind of like a side hustle to start with, a
right.
business opportunity, and they want to convert it into something that can make their life better. And maybe if it does work out, and hopefully it does, that it turns into their full-time career or job. And that's always fun.
That it is always fun to see those things come to life, and you're doing a lot of good work and putting
Oh, yeah.
more inventions and helping people out there. So let's both keep at it. And thanks so much for coming on today, Brian. It was a pleasure talking with you as always. And for everyone else, we'll see you next time on Launch.